Hey guys, Joshua Peterson, your Peterson Electric. Third part to this video of 2019 in November under hydro massage tub. You got to see the tub itself, and the second video was showing us the basement practicality, and then the third right now is showing us the code. Again, if you don't understand any of this, please do not email me. Please just find an electrician in your local area and don't try to be a hero. It is electrical, plumbing, and a lot of it seems simple, but I've seen a lot of homeowners cut corners, especially in their panels, and they don't have enough room to ground and or run new circuits, or they start tapping off of other things that you're not supposed to. So again, if you're a DIY, do it right. If you're not, electrician will know you do it right. But here is the code and the contradiction of it. So we are in the 2017 handbook, which, by the way, we did find an issue in Article 625, just real quickly, to the old handbook to one of the, just your normal, just your simple paperback. The handbook basically has illustrations of pictures. That's what I have here. But I remember talking to an inspector that the GFCI protections was supposed to be on electrical core vehicles. And just to give you an example, they had a mistake in here that they didn't have it from this handbook to the other paperback book. So anyway, 680 talks about, my point to that was just to make sure that you guys read up on stuff. If you just trust YouTube, then that's your problem. But yeah, 680.26 talks about equal potential bonding. Does this refer to an in-ground swimming pool, hotel, or residential? Sure. But it also refers to it just on bonding parts. 680.26b is very common sense with an 8 gauge when you're bonding any type of metal that might be connected to cement or around it. So you saw downstairs that all that cement I had, there was no other metal, not even the plumbing. Okay. But that is referring to outside. You're grounding GFCI protection. If it's a storage pool, storable spas, storage tubs, even these kind of pools that might have a motor to it, and you're running an extension cord, and then you're like, yeah, I don't even know if it has a ground. That's really stupid. And you don't have a GFCI feeding it. That's really dumb. Or you have too many outlets feeding that circuit, and it's not dedicated for your pool for this little pump or heater. That's not smart. But yeah, right here, 680.26 or 40 talks about emerging switches of spas and hot tubs that are 5 foot away. That's your disconnect, not closer than 5 foot, but not further than 50. And that's usually 240 volt. Bonding of any metal parts. These are outdoor installations. And look, we get into 680.43, which I told you earlier was indoor installations. A spa or hot tub indoors shall comply with the provision of 1 and 2 that is modified for personal connection. But look at these exceptions. Isn't this interesting? And I told the inspector this. Exception 1, a listed spa and hot tub packaged units of 20 amps or less. Should have said 120 volt, right? Doesn't even say 240 volt right now. But is removable and disconnect. That is what we're talking about. Exception 2, equal potential requirements for permitting surface shall not apply to a listed self-contained spa. Well, then basically what I showed you in the video, that aluminum doesn't matter, or the motor. Number 3, for dwelling units, oh wait, we're in a house, 12240, right? Where a listed or hot tub indoor, the wiring requirements shall not apply. This is a bad article right here for exceptions. It doesn't talk about 120 volt, less than 300 volt, less than 600 volt, or 240 volt. But they are talking about receptacles within 6 foot, but no further than 10. So I do have a receptacle. If you saw my videos next to the toilet, well, that's too close. No, it's not. It's GFCI protected, and it has a wall barrier. Not my fault if you plug a radio and drop it in the tub. That was for my heated toilet seat. Locations shall be required of measured of the inside wall of the tub. Protections, generally 120 volt. There you go. Protections of hot tubs and receptacles and measurements. Now let's look at this. Bonding. All metal fittings and a part of this structure shall be bonded. So this contradicts itself to this right here alone. 680.43, exceptions from A all the way to D. Because it says that if there's any metal, well, we have metal underneath it, so we got to bond it. Methods of bonding, number 8 gauge bare or insulated. I use 6 again. Underwater audio equipment, no. Protection, no. Luminary, no. Pumps, yes. These are fountains, though. Part 5. But look at this. Pools and tubs for therapeutical use. That's what it is. Does it say indoor or outdoor? Nope. GFCI protections? Yep. Therapeutical tubs? Yep. We're underneath that now. Protection? GFCI. Listed? It is listed in UL. It's pumps and air blowers, but there is no heater and there is no lights. Controller? Nah, it's probably just a pressure one. GFCI protection? Yes. Other units? But these are 3-phase 250 volt. That's 208, 12, or 212 system. All metal fittings within this structure of this tub. 5 foot away. Metal surfaces 5 foot. It's underneath it. Well, it's a part of it. Methods of bonding, again. Exception, small conductive surfaces likely to become energized, such as air and water jets and drains. They shall not, or the fittings not connected to this metal tub or metallic piping and towel bars, mirror frames, and other equipment. So like if you hand bar to get out of the tub, you don't. But what if it's all a metal wall around it? You do. Again, guys, it's the mass and it's common sense of how much metal and what's it for. Receptacles, luminaires. Now, here you go. Hydro protection. This is what the inspector said. 680.71. Hydro bathtubs, they're associated with electrical components and individual branch circuits and ground faults. Again, within 650 or 6 foot away, less than 30 amp. Other electrical equipment, luminary light switchers and other electrical like lights that are directly associated to this tub shall be installed in accordance with this chapter 1 through 4. Accessibility. Here's a big no-no, which this tub manufacturer had more time to spend not giving longer cords. I don't get that. The hydro massage bathtub electrical equipment shall be accessible without damaging of the building structure or building finish. No, I have to move the tub, though, to get to an outlet. That offends Article 100 under readily accessible, where hydro massage tubs supplying receptacle outlets shall be serviced, opening, receptacle shall be installed. That is the face within the direct and not more than 1 foot of opening. I don't have a 1 foot opening, but I'm having to shove that up against the wall. My cords are too short, so what do I cut the cord and put my own pigtail cord? I'm not allowed to do that. Bonding, 5 foot away, again. Exception, small conductive surface likely be energized. Again, these are the frame underneath. Yes, it has to. But it says, in similar non-electrical equipment not connected to metal surface shall be required to be bonded. A double insulated motor does not need to be bonded. But all metal parts associated with this, again, equal potential. Equal potential means the difference of two metals. They all have to have the same potential to be grounded. So we basically came back to this job to make sure that was grounded. I just wanted to be super safe on that frame. And they were right. One motor was metal and one was plastic. So I was wrong on that. I came back on my dime. But here's what's so funny. A number 8 gauge, let's go to 250.122. How dumb this is in the code book. I don't mind stating that after 22 years of reading this. If I have a 20 amp circuit, minimum size by brand circuit, it's copper 12 and aluminum 10. You're not allowed to use aluminum, only copper. Yet they have an aluminum frame. Doesn't that make sense? So what about dissimilar metal? Well, that's why you're connecting to a lug that is rated for both usually. So it does not have any dissimilar metal reaction. But number 12. Yet I'm running an 8 gauge up to 100 amp it's rated. Why? You have to tie those together. Okay, let's look at another thing. 310.16. An 8 gauge wire copper. Grounding, it's probably up to 55 amps. Yet I'm only pulling 20. This unit's going to pull less than 15. But look at that. Why couldn't I run number 12? That's what's in my branch circuit, rated up to 30 amps on the ground. 25 or 20. I'm only running like 2 amps. So there's really not a common sense to this, guys. Some of this doesn't make sense, period. But if you get in here in my equipment area, this copper, number 12, that's what they're talking about. NM, Article 334. Here's an 8-gauge bare copper. I don't carry a lot of that. They came out of a thicker, probably my TC cable. But that's what they want you to run. Bare or insulated. Now, if you guys go in here and start connecting that 8-gauge to a 12 with a red wire nut, shame on you. You're trying to get yourself a good grounding. This costs what? 5 cents, 10 cents for an electrician? Don't be a cheap ass. Go in here and get yourself a good Polars connector. 2-port. If you're doing a 3-port, like I showed you in that video, you might want to get a 3-port. These are rated correctly from a 14 gauge to a number 6. Sorry, my shelf is falling apart. But if I have different grounds going through this area, that's why I put in a 2-gang box and not a single gang. I might do a 4-port, I might do a 3-port. And I can get that in a 2-gang box. But all those bonds in there, and the fact that I've got my nice set screw, and you better use your torque screwdriver for that, Article I. That's going to bond if I have going up to the panel, or maybe there's some metal that's associated near it, or a frame, or there's 2 motors that they didn't do another lug on, or you want to be extra on the frame, and then going to your branch circuit. Again, guys, there's a lot of common sense to the code, but there's also stuff that really contradicts. Keep in mind that every 3 years they rewrite some of this, and they don't see some of it, and some of it was written like 50 years ago, and the guy's already retired or dead. And they haven't revised it. Nobody's really brought it up. So, again, hopefully if the panel board's watching this, what I think should happen, personally, is that you stick to common sense in Article 251.22 and use the number 12 solid copper or stranded. But now you get into the code article 300 that, are you protecting your wire less than a number 6 that could get damaged? What is it going to get damaged on? It's behind drywall. You remodel it, that's on you. This is a permanent installation of new in that bathroom downstairs. So why wouldn't the 12 gauge, or at least the number 10, green, solid, or stranded, going all the way back to the panel, or just right there at the cold water? But if you have a valve there with a cold water copper pipe, then yeah, you ground it. And why doesn't the plumber just give us a little copper, even if it's 12 inches? Why would that not matter just to bond that? Water still passes through the copper. Keep in mind that you're dealing with what we call in science of the electrical world, electrons and protons. That the outside is going to be your positive protons and inside is negative electrons. And then you have your valencia electrons. But in that shell of that nucleus, there's that reaction as they trade spots. And around that nucleus is 1 to 8 valential shells. Copper has more conductivity, so more shells. Aluminum has less. Common sense of it, water's going through a pipe, even if it's 12 inches long. Why would it not be conductive? Plastic, again, it's an insulated piece of material. So maybe the plumbing code has to read we have to have a certain amount of bond there with copper if they're pulling PEX. But again, it's all about how fast people do their job. So again, keep in mind grounding electrodes in the house, Article 250. Supplementary electrodes, 250-53. Panels bonded. Between subfeeds, Article 122, and grounding. If it's a 3-wire SE, you need to repull it. You have to have a 4-wire. Why? Because look at this little wire right here for my copper 10, which I use for kilns and my dryers. You can't see the ground in there. It's right sneaked in there. But 4-wire, insulated, black, red, white, and now a bare copper. So even on my dryers, I have an extra raceway of a copper. And again, guys, this does not carry current on the ground. If it does, you're in trouble. Your breaker's not faulting and you're having a fire, or you've already melted your wire. But if you are grounding with that, then it's a tattletale wire. It's a cheat wire. It's a fault wire for the breaker. It, again, ties you to earth as a common, so you don't have a different of potential. So that's equal potential, so you're not a part of that potential getting electrocuted in your tub, in your skinnies, and nobody's around. So use common sense. I know a lot of it doesn't make sense. I know our field gets more restrictive, while the plumbing field seems less restrictive with plastic. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining us. Bye.